Alright, we got our new chip the other day. That should be the 12 core that's compatible with it. Looks like it's in good shape. I think it's I believe that's a LGA style they call that. Or the pins are on the motherboard end, but $25, that ain't bad if it works. So, pretty simple guide. From what I find, OWC, they make pretty great Mac stuff. They got a whole video on it, 11 minutes, and walks you through everything. I'll put a link to that in the description. That's what I'm going to be using. It won't be any kind of time lapse or anything. I'll just try to walk you through it, get you some shots as I go. Let's get started. Alright, first step, obviously you gotta take the memory out. So, pretty straightforward. Should pop open. Yeah, just push that arrow. And you pull them out. Ideally, you have more than one hand available. Yeah, pretty simple. I know they say whatever it is, get a static free service. I don't particularly care. It's not that expensive. Alright. Then step 2, according to that, was take out the 5 T10 screws. So along the top, that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'll get started with them. Those are what I'm talking about. One good thing, well, I don't know if it's a good thing, a surprise, I have an application called Battery Bar, or Coconut Battery, sorry. It actually tells you like production date. This was a, they call it a late 2013 Mac Pro, but this one was manufactured in, I think it was like middle of 2015 it said, so. Only a decade old, instead of a dozen years, but maybe that explains why the RAM is black. Like I mentioned, I don't think 64 gigabytes was an option right in the beginning. But Apple offered it after a few years, so what would 64 gigabytes of Apple priced memory cost? This had to have been minimum a $6,000 machine when it was new. Maybe one day LGR will do a look back on it. So he's got a lot of great content on classic computers. Not too much Macs, but that's another favorite channel of mine. And then, what is it? This Does Not Compute is another good retro computer channel. They appear to be, I don't know, solo efforts, those both them channels, so go ahead and support them if you can. Especially LGR, he went through his whole house got damaged pretty badly in a hurricane. Yeah, well, there's step 1. I'll come back with more. Alright, next, like we took all them 5 screws out, the whole fan assembly just lifts up. And in there, sort of the retainer bracket, those are T8s, according to the video, and they are captive. So I will get started on that. I don't want to let that hang. You can look in there though in the meantime. Not too dusty, but I'll wipe it down before we put it back. Alright, yeah, I'm going to take both of them out and we'll go from there. Alright, with both of those out and the little retainer bracket off, you just stick a little pry tool behind that and pop it off, and then there should be, yeah, you can just see it. We'll have to take off this little wire afterwards. So let me do that. Sort of need 2 hands. Alright, it's off. Yeah, just a little sort of a sponger thing you gotta pick up. Pretty simple. But to keep it framework related, we got to use the included framework screwdriver splinter tool. So, still part of the channel. Alright, next thing is take these 5 T10 Torx bits off the bottom. And then the bottom cover will just lift, comes right off. There's no wires or connectors apparently. So, and these are a lot of switching back and forth between. These appear to be exact same as the ones on top. Yeah, so I'm not too worried about mixing them up, but I'll keep them separate anyway. That's what's good about having a little parts tray. Using the LTT translucent screwdriver if you're interested. Okay. Just comes right off. Just a machined piece of metal. Little rubber seal. Interesting machining work. Made in the USA, this computer. I believe, yeah. Their Pro things get assembled in the USA if you're into nationalism. Now we're seeing a good amount of dust. Like that we can clean up while we're in here. Yeah. The next step is to get these 2 connectors off. You just pry them. You just want to be careful where you pry them. You got, you know, components here. It's not too bad. Yeah, you can just kind of yank on it, really. Yeah. Alright, so those are both off. Up top you have 2 T8s. That's off. There's a connector that runs on the other side of this, so give it a shot. A little stiff. It's coming. Once that comes up, another cable like the 2 we just popped off with our hand. Supposed to take that off. This whole, I don't know what you would call this, at the bottom of the computer comes right off. Let me see. I can do it with one hand. That's that big connector that goes on that piece. Yeah. That meets up with that. And I believe that's power supply stuff. Generally, people say don't touch it, so I would not. That back. That's what the parts look like so far. I don't know, what is that, 10, 12, 14 screws? Not too bad. That's that big thermal core I mentioned before. That's what I always, you know, the most interesting piece of engineering about this. You've got your various boards all making contact with it. One fan, internal power supply. I believe that was 400 watts is the maximum power draw that this thing can do. All right, next step, I actually recommend from where we had it, flip it over, place it back in the bottom cover, just mainly for housekeeping, keeps everything in place. What we want to do is take off this metal plate and inside there is a T5 right there, one on each side. So just two. And this plate is just supposed to come off. Yep. More dust we can wipe down. And this is just plastic. Put that over there. And then you have 6 of these metal silver screws, T8s. And pull all of them out. This whole power supply is supposed to come out. So I'm gonna do that. Yeah, the moment you take all 6 of them out, this whole thing's just loose. And yeah, it just lifts right out. There's them big coils, plugs. Not much dust on there, but we'll add it to the pile and keep on going to the next step. Well, it's getting pretty, I believe that's the back of the processor, so we're getting there. All right, next is just take these 4 T10 screws out, and then this whole processor board will come right off. These will come in the next step. These are actually just little black stickers. And that'll undo the whole processor itself from the board. But I like to see that the stickers are still on there. It means nobody else has been in here. Or they put the stickers back, who knows. But I'm curious to get this off, see how bad that thermal paste looks after a decade. And then these are T10s. It says do them in a star pattern. That's probably a good idea. I don't remember if it said these are captive or not. No, they are not. There you go. Into the process, into the parts tray. This one. Curiously isn't coming. Spinning, but not coming out. So it's coming just fine. Man, the little board's starting to shift. These all appear to be the same length. Yeah, so. Oop. Oh, there we go. Nothing to worry about there, but that just fell off. Yeah, that screw's still in there. Okay. But there you go, after presumably a decade. That's what it looks like. Looks a little... Oh yeah, that's just dry. It was idling in like the 60s Fahrenheit, so I put some, I think I have some Arctic Grizzly. That should definitely help. All right, first bit of challenge here. This is that CPU tray we undid and took off one of the screws. It hasn't come out, that one. These sort of, I guess, I don't know if you'd call that a standoff. There's 3 of them in there. The other one is sort of stuck in here. It has, on the other side of it, or it's like a hexagon. You could, in theory, put a wrench on that, hold it still while you turned it off, but it's not gonna. I don't have any wrench nearly that small. I don't think it's honestly an issue. It shouldn't matter at all. I don't know how these stay in place if they haven't fallen off. I'm probably not gonna worry about it. I'll just clean this up. Yeah, just be careful of that. It might come with the whole CPU card, I guess you'd call this. Yeah. So those are just black stickers. You just push through it with your bit, and that'll reveal the T10 Torx bits to actually take the CPU out of the CPU card. wiped off the paste that I could when it was in the bracket. And we still have to clean that up, but we'll get to it. All right, there it is. Comes right out. Now that has some serious spring action. This is just a piece that sits on the underside. It goes like that. You take out them 4 screws and that thing flies up at you. Here's the tray, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the video. It's gonna just be the reverse, put it back together, make sure you clean that side off. And yeah. Appreciate you watching. Hopefully I wasn't rambling too much. Got a little bit of work ahead of us. But so far this recording is 20 minutes long. That's all it takes to take it apart. Yeah, thanks for watching. I gotta put it back together and make sure everything works.